Hello everyone, JR here with Ayers Academy. I just want to do a little recap of my experience at the U.S. Open Karate World Martial Arts Championships that was held this past weekend here over July the 4th. And to put a conclusion on this whole playlist that I've been putting together for the past 3 months. One, I met some very nice people at this tournament, people who came from all over the United States and all over the world actually. Two, most of these people are on a path to where, whether they're in their 60s, 70s, or even 40s or younger, they're on a path where they're still trying to better themselves through their training, their discipline, and that's really underpinning of all martial arts, whether it's old school martial arts or even modern day sport martial arts. The idea is to work on yourself and get better. And therefore you work on your mind and developing a stronger, more resilient mindset as you face the challenges of everyday life. Number three, however, I didn't really like the rules so much. The rules were in place, and I understand why they're there. They're there to promote speed and continuous movement. The protective equipment that's required. I really didn't necessarily appreciate that. I didn't really feel the need. For example, you have to wear shin pads. You have to wear elbow pads. Headgear, mouth gear, all that. I'm okay with most of that, but I really don't, personally, I don't like the foot pad or the shin pads, and I don't like the elbow pads. Because there again, someone does a roundhouse kick, you throw an elbow in there, they'll never do a roundhouse kick again. And you see it predominantly, 90% is roundhouse kicks and side kicks, right? And you can't do sweeps, you can't do drop kicks to the groin, which you used to be able to do back in my day. Because there again, you have someone tall, they're throwing a kick at you, you just do a drop groin kick to their groin or drop side kick to their groin. Even if you don't hit them, they're less likely to throw that kick again. They have to change their strategy. So I kind of prefer the rules of the old tournaments back in the late 70s and early 80s. But it is what it is. I accept it. And I think that leads to my fourth observation and kind of takeaway just from what I've seen and what I've seen in other tournaments modern day. A lot of people will go to a modern day taekwondo tournament, jiu-jitsu tournament, grappling tournament, or sport karate tournament, which this had all three. And you might do well in those tournaments. You might even place third, second, or first place, and you leave and you think your self-defense skills are better than they really are. You have to really keep in mind your skill set you've been working on was designed for that tournament or for a tournament setting, not for someone that may approach you on a concrete sidewalk or a street environment where they may have a knife or there might be more than one opponent, right? And so there again, I think a lot of people leave there and are a little bit more high-minded of their skill set than what they really have. And that's one thing I always try to check myself on is, there's always somebody better. There really is. I also saw a number of competitors who were really just out of shape. People who had a black belt on, but they were either modestly overweight or severely overweight. But yet a black belt is supposed to be someone who is an example to other people, especially if they are an instructor or they own their own martial arts school. So I saw a lot of that. I also saw a lot of people who, just a lot of lack of humility, a lot of bravado, if you will. I saw a lot of disrespect behaviorally towards other people. So what do I mean? There was a group of young men, probably mid to late teens, who I can guarantee they were black belts. They were probably very good, but they were all wearing the same uniform for their sport karate fighting tournament. And we were at a ring, 20 by 20, and there was a changeover, one division to another. And they kept getting on the mat, just standing and talking with each other. And the center referee, who was trying to get things organized, He was probably late 60s, early 70s, and he was a martial artist back in his day, probably still is, but he came over and very respectfully asked the young men, could they please, stay off of the 20 by 20 area. No sooner did he turn around and start to leave, they came back on the mat, totally ignored what he said. So it kind of makes me wonder, what is the martial arts school they go to? Who is their instructor? Who is their teacher? Because if that person would have been a very humble person, they would not have acted that way. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, even in martial arts. And I saw a lot of teenage black belts who were walking around and who were just very impolite to other people, kind of like cutting people off as they were walking through, lack of respect to older people. Normally you would let somebody older walk in front of you. I saw a couple young teenage black belts who were girls almost run over another woman just walking when they should have just stopped and let her walk. After all, one of the big things in martial arts is courtesy and respect for other people. And I saw a lot of just the opposite of that. There again, in my martial arts biography, moving forward, I dedicated a whole chapter to this whole topic. And I actually got to see it in person again here, kind of on full display, of the outcomes of the modern day sport martial art environment and tournament. However, overall, I enjoyed the experience. I wish I had sparred more. I only sparred like 3 times for a total of 10 minutes. If I'd sparred more, I may have done better than a second place in the men's 35 and over division at the age of 59. And so I wish I had sparred more, but it is what it is. I mean, this is not my goal to do tournament after tournament, but it does make me think. If you are over 50, no matter what you're doing, life's not over. I mean, I decided to do this on a whim 90 days ago. So anyway, follow Ayers Academy, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you very much.